I mean, this may seem like a joke, but seriously, note that there's very little we've been unanimous on. But this kind of gut response is a unanimous one. Just about everyone, I think, has a tendency to think of knowledge, truth, as a kind of fixed state. Religious people do, and scientific people do too, I think. That is, it's very easy for people who are scientific people to think, well, science says, but of course science doesn't say one thing any more than religion says just one thing. The real value of history comes in traveling imaginatively into another setting and putting yourself in the place of people who lived with ideas and circumstances that are very different than those that surround you and that inform you. And imaginatively then you begin to put yourself in their place and you say, and you really get it, like both intellectually and at gut level, oh wow, if I had lived back then, I would be a different person, wouldn't I? I would think differently about things. The world would look different to me. And I wanted you to have a little bit of that experience at any rate by stepping back into those times when science was really just beginning to emerge in Western history, and we settled on these chapters that have to do with science as it's applied to the universe, to astronomy. Socrates is saying here that he can't really tell a story that's set in the agora, in the marketplace of Athens, in such a way as to get people to get it, that they really should focus their lives on abandoning vice and obtaining virtue. In order to make that clear, he ends up having to talk about earth and heaven and God up in heaven and messed up things here on earth, right? He has to tell a strange story and get it out of the marketplace, because if he keeps talking about the marketplace, just ordinary well-known Athens, then everybody knows that is there any real good, honest to goodness, pure good on Wall Street, for example? So in this model, in this Aristotelian model, everything that was heavy and dead fell to the center. It was like the drain in the bathtub. It was like the septic tank of the universe. So that's what center means in that Aristotelian diagram, right? So it's central geographically, but qualitatively it's about as bad a place as you can be. And the whole goal is to be someplace better. And then it turns out that people observe novae. What's a nova? A star isn't there, and then a star is there. Wow, that means stars are born. And if stars are born, then necessarily stars die. So that the notion that out there is permanent and necessarily living disappears. If things can die out there, then out there is not this wonderful, warm, pleasant soup of life, but things, the same rules that we have down here. Where is God himself in this scheme? It's really outside. He's really outside the whole material universe, because God is not material. And so where can something that is not made of matter be located in space? Sort of, you can use the metaphor of outside of it. You can use the metaphor of penetrating everything, sort of, like everywhere and nowhere, but clearly not at any given latitude, longitude, and time, right? No one really no real heavy-duty thinker imagined that if you would go to just latitude such and such, longitude such and such, at such and such a time, there you would encounter the thing that is called God. Right? That isn't what they meant by God. If we were to go back to 1400 and you were a kid growing up and you're 8 years old and you say, "So, Dad, where is God?" He'd have said, "Up there." Okay. Now, that provides a useful function, right? Or if you say, "God is in Indiana," and you're a devout 8-year-old, what do? You sneak out of the house one night and head out for Indiana, right? I'm going to see God, But how about up there, way up there? And the kid says, "Man, I can't go there." And Dad says, "Yeah, that's kind of the point, right?" That is, God needs to be in some place that you can't go, because if you tell him he's in Indiana, then he'll go there and find he isn't there. How many of you feel not entirely comfortable with the options you're given in these questions? One way we can interpret why is as how, mechanical causation. But there are other kinds of why answers that have to do with a sense of purpose or interpreting meaning in our lives, something like that. Right? Which one's the rock solid answer to why? This one, and this one's kind of fluffy. I often see things that strengthen my conviction that there is real purpose to my life. Not quite so obvious, right? Times have changed, right? The world looks different to us because we live in a scientific time. So, for example, the why question that explains the mechanics of causation. Why do I live? Because my parents had sex. The why that looks to quality and purposes, this why I think can also be worded as a should question very often. Why do I live can be reworded as why should I go on living? What purpose should I have? Then the question, to what extent do you think that disputes between science and religion that we have encountered in our society may be rooted in a misunderstanding of the differences between these two kinds of questions, so that when one person asks a why question that has to do with meaning and purpose and gets a mechanical causation answer, the person says, no, that's wrong, it's this, and then answers with the other sense of why.